بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اتبع هداه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I hope all of you are doing well and everything was going well with you in the past few days. And today, inshallah, we are going to continue our session on Tajweed and how to recite the Quran with proper Tajweed. As we did last time, we're going to start first with explaining some of the rules. We will talk a little bit about it. After this, I'll give every one of you a chance to read by himself and try the recitation himself and try to apply the rules that we are talking about. Inshallah, we're going to talk about the rules for like from 20 to 30 minutes. After this, we are going to start letting every one of you reading by himself to try the Quran recitation and to try applying the rules that we are studying. And of course, remember that I would like every one of you to participate with me, because of course I would be happy to let you all practice, because the tajweed cannot just be like rules we study, it has to be applied in our Quran recitation. So the first thing we're gonna start with, inshallah, today would be reviewing the things that we talked about last time. Let me remind you of our first lesson we had, which was about the rules of reciting Quran, which is starting from the basics of the Arabic language. We talked about sukun, shadda, fatha, kasra, dhamma, how we apply all of this, how we use all of this during our Quran recitation. After that, we talked in our first lesson about the types of letters. We said that we have heavy letters, that is in one group, and we have another type of letters, which is the light letters. So any letter in the Arabic language, it has its own sound, and that sound can be either heavy, can be also light, depending on that letter. How would we know if the letter is heavy or light? That would be depending on that letter. If it's in the group of those 7 letters, which is kha, letter kha, that's the first one. We have kha, sad, dad, ghain, ta, qaf, and va. If it is one of these 7 letters, then we're gonna make the sound of the letter heavy. How can we do this? We fill our mouth with air while we are saying the sound of the letter. Like fa, tha, tha. See how I'm doing that here? That's basically making the sound of the letter heavy. Any letter that is other than those 7 is going to be light. Like for example, letter mim, letter noon, letter ha. We just make their sound a weak sound. We don't fill our mouth with air, so we just say ma, na, ha, ni, hu, and so on. We talked about there's one exception to these rules, and those would be 2 letters, and those are ra and lam. How about ra and lam? We said that they actually have to follow the letter before them. Not the letter before them, they have to follow the haraka that they actually have. If ra has fatha or a dhamma, we're gonna make it sound heavy. If it has a kasra, we're gonna make it sound light. How about lam? We also talked about lam. We said it is always light in all our words that we read in Arabic, except in the word Allah. Sometimes we make it heavy, sometimes we make it light, based on the letter before the word Allah. If that letter is heavy, then if that letter actually has a fatha or a dhamma, then we're gonna make the lam over here in the word Allah heavy lam. If that letter has a kasra, then we're gonna make this lam a light lam. And that was all the things that we talked about in the past. Does any one of you have any questions about any of this? Okay,
No,
I see.
inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. All right, and then we talked about actually, let's start like our new lesson, which would be about today about qalqala. And I think some of you might have heard this before and what it means. Qalqala.
Yes, the echo sound.
Exactly, thank you. So the qalqala was actually one of the things that we do to some of the letters. And since you have the microphone on, would you help me about what are these letters that we make qalqala with, the group of letters.
The easy way to remember is قطب جد. قاف
Exactly. Thank you.
قاف. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have group of letters which are qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. So those letters, we apply to them a special rule in the Arabic language when we say them, and this rule is actually what we call as al-qalqala. What happens to these letters when we read them, we have to make this qalqala sound. What is the meaning of the word qalqala? It means actually making an echo sound or a vibration sound. Does that happen all the times when we say these letters? Yes, it happens naturally. But we have to intentionally make it when these letters have sukoon. So when these five letters, when we read them, when they have sukoon on them, we have to make and apply this echo sound when we say them. So the qa, when we have it like with sukoon, like in a word, just to give an example, when we have qaf with sukoon, in this word, it's going to be aqa, aqa. What I'm doing here is what I'm saying, the qaf, I'm making a vibration sound. I'm not just stopping on the articulation point of qaf and just stop on it. I'm actually vibrating my mouth more to make the sound more being echoed and more vibrated. And that is actually the purpose of this, is to make it sound clear. If I try to say qaf with sukoon without doing this echo sound, its sound will not be clear. Somebody is hearing my Quran recitation, he will not be able to hear the qaf sound. It will sound like a. So what you might hear is only the but not the qaf after. To make the qaf sound clear, or any of these five letters clear when we say them, we have to make this echo sound. Same thing happens with ba, and let's take an example for letter dad. So we can have just like a word for an example. This word that we have here is ahad. Letter dal that we have at the end is one of the qalqala letters. And as you can see, it has sukoon on it. This little thing at the top is what we actually call as sukoon. What are we going to see? What are we going to do to this dal? We are going to vibrate its sound. So we're gonna say ahad, ahad. And that's, by the way, we have in Surah Al-Ikhlas. Also, we have in Surah Al-Falaq some more examples. We have the word falaq. If we look at letter qaf over here, we can see that qaf comes with a sukoon at the end. So when we pronounce its sound, we're gonna say falaq, falaq. This qaf over here that we have, we are going to vibrate its sound so it can be clear and it can be heard for anybody who is reading or listening to my Quran recitation. Let's read this in practice in Mus'haf and see how this actually works. Let me share with you any of the short surahs that we have, and let's try reading the words that is containing the qalqala letters. Okay, so let's do Surah Al-Falaq again. What I will need from you to do is to help me finding here the letters, I mean the words that we're gonna make, which actually have a qalqala letter, like have one of the five letters that we talked about. So we said that we have qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. Those are the qalqala letters. Let's have them right here. Qaf. Sorry about this. 1 second. So qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. We're gonna look here in this surah at the words containing one of these five letters while they have sukoon, or when we stop on them at the end of the word. Because if we stop on a word that has at the end of it one of these letters, I'm gonna make the end of it with sukoon. Like over here, we have the word al-falaq. So qaf here, it has kasra, but this is just in writing. when we read it, we're gonna make this qaf with sukoon because we are going to stop on it as we stop while we are reading on the head of each ayah. So can you let me know here about what are the other words that we can do this qalqala to in this surah? Can you let me know in the chat? Can you send that to me in the chat, the words that we have? Yes, so the next word we have is qalaq. Okay, it has letter qaf at the end. What else? Okay, after khalaq, what are the other words we have? Yes, we have ba in the word waqab. Perfect. Where else can we find? Okay, we have dal. Where is this one? Yes, this one right here, which is in the word al-uqad. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for helping me finding this. There's one last more over here, which is this dal at the end of the word hasad. Let's try now listening to these words and see what is actually happening when we pronounce them. So when we listen to this qaf while we are reading it, we have to make it sound clear. We have to make this echo sound to it. So the word that we have here is qalaq. Qalaq. This word, waqab. Waqab. So I'm vibrating the ba here. If I said waqab without making this echo sound, the ba will not be heard to the others, will not be clear. So to make it sound clear, we echo the sound of ba. Waqab. Last word here is also al-uqad and hasad. Same, we have the ending of dal. Since we stop on the word, we make the last letter with sukoon, which is dal here. So the word is al-uqad. Al-uqad. And after this, we have here hasad. Hasad. Same thing, we can have this in most of the surahs of the Quran, we can always have words containing qalqala, like in Surah Al-Ikhlas. And maybe we can read by the end of today's class, like another one of the surahs containing this, and I'll let you try and read it yourself so you can practice it. Now let's move to a new lesson, and this would be just quickly something really quick about one of the lessons that we're going to talk about, inshallah, in the future. That lesson that we'll talk about later is about noon, sakina, and tanween. We're gonna just take an introduction today about what is noon, sakina, and tanween, which is a lesson we hear about a lot, which is a very important lesson in Tajweed. It can be almost repeated in every surah we read, and maybe also in every ayah. So to understand first, because this lesson is important, we have to understand what is this lesson is actually talking about. What are we going to learn or to understand from this lesson? So first, let's talk about what is actually noon sakina, what is the meaning of this, and what is actually tanween. Maybe some of you here have heard about this and know this exactly, but let's mention it in much more detail so we can have the best understanding of this. So noon sakina, the word sakina means the one that is with sukoon. So all of us know letter noon. Letter noon, when it has a sukoon on the top of it, that's what we call as noon sakina. We can have plenty of noon sakina like this in the Quran. Sometimes in the Quran, when we read it, we can see this sukoon on the top of it. We still call it noon sakina. And in some other times, a noon sakina can have nothing on it. It can be just like this. What is actually this is called? Still called a noon sakina. So when we see a noon that has nothing on it, that doesn't mean that it's an empty noon or a noon that we don't read or something. It's still a noon, but the special type of noon, which is a noon sakina. We will of course know why in the Mus'haf we have sometimes the noon with sukoon. why it sometimes can have nothing, but let's understand what is the meaning, of course, of a noon sakina. And that's what we can know from here, that a noon with a sukoon on the top of it, or a noon with nothing on it. Just as an example, we can have it mostly in the word or in the letter, the preposition man in Arabic. The word man means who. So the noon over here at the end, when we read it, we actually read it with sukoon. As we can see, it has a sukoon on the top of it. That's man. Okay, how about tanween? What is tanween? Tanween is something, of course, all of us know. We talked a little bit about it at the first session. Tanween is actually having the double fatha on the top of the letter, the double kasra on the bottom of the letter, or having the double dhamma also on the top of the letter. Uh, if you have noticed, when we read any word that has at the end of it this tanween, the sound is really similar. It's actually the same as the sound of a noon sakina. And that's why they are both one lesson. Same rule we apply to noon sakina here, we apply to tanween. Let's bring an example for this. When we say a word like uh, qalam, and we add a tanween at the end of it. So it's tanween with dhamm. We're gonna say qalamun, qalamun. That's the sound of the tanween, reading the meme and reading the tanween sound. We can see it's the same thing if we wrote the word qalam, and then we added a noon sakina at the end of it. So it becomes qalamun. So this word with a tanween at the end, it is qalamun, and this one is also qalamun. So same sound. The tanween at the end sound is the same as the noon sakina sound. And that's why when we are going to talk about the rules of noon sakina and tanween, we have to know that these rules apply to both of them. Applies to noon sakina when we read it. Same rules that we will talk about also applies to tanween. So we have to apply it to both. Why this lesson is important? Because the reading of the noon, sakin, and tanween in the Quran recitation is a little bit different in some cases, not in all cases. In some cases, it is different. We make a special sound of the tanween or of the noon sakina. And the reason why we do this is actually to ease the recitation of noon sakina and tanween and not to make it difficult during our Quran reading. So just to make it easy for us, we apply these rules so it can feel more easy to recite the words that is containing tanween or that is containing noon sakina. I hope this is clear so far. Can you please let me know, do you have any questions about just the things we talked about to the moment? Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Any questions so far about qalqala rule, about the noon sakina and tanween introduction that we just mentioned today? Are you sure? Are all of you sure about this?
Yes, inshallah.
Yes, inshallah. Okay, now we're gonna move to some reading practice. We would like today to practice just like some of the short surahs. The surah we would like to focus on today is going to be Surah Al-Ikhlas. I'll share it with you. I would like all of you to try reading this surah with me here. And by this, we're gonna talk about the rules that we mentioned today, which is qalqala, and of course the previous lessons rules that we mentioned before, which was about the heavy and the light letters. The one who would like to start first, you have in Zoom, you have something called raise hand. You can use it, and you can, of course, if you are ready now, you can use it now. So who would like to start? You can click on raise hand, and I'll let you participate, inshallah. Is anybody ready?
I don't see the raise hand, but yeah, can I start?
Yeah, you can start. Okay, I'll let you. You can start now reading Surah Al-Ikhlas.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Excellent, very good recitation. Barakallahu feek. Okay, since we can't use at the moment the raise hand thing, so we can go with the right order of view that we have in Zoom. Uh, so so 1 second. So Munir, are you ready?
Yes.
Yes, you can start. You can read the surah now. Barakallahu feek.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahu samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam
Can you
yakul
try again,
lahu
please?
kufuwan ahad.
Can you try again the word as-samad?
Allahu samad. Lam
Yes,
yalid wa
letter
lam
meme.
yulad.
Just 1 second. Let's talk about
Yes.
one thing here. Letter meme. Is it one of the heavy letters or it is one of the light letters?
Sorry.
Do you remember whether letter meme is a heavy letter or a light letter?
That is a heavy letter. Samad.
Meme. Well, actually, meme is a light
M-
letter. Okay.
Meme
Sad
is
is the
light.
heavy
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad is the
Saw
heavy
this.
one.
Saw this heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So when we read as-samad, when we get to the meme, we have to make it sound light. So we avoid saying as-sama, ma. That is a heavy ma sound. Okay. So we make it
Yes.
light. As-samad,
Yeah.
as-samad. Can you try it again, please?
As Allahu samad.
Can you try one more
Allahu
time
samad.
and just
Allahu
like
samad.
give some more focus to the meme? Say ma.
Ma samad.
Perfect.
Samad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds better. You can continue.
لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Barakallahu fiik. Thank you. Okay, who else? So to make it in order, okay, Qudsa, you can read now.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, I'll start. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد.
Okay, we stop again. The word as-samad. So we have sad, heavy, and the meme
Yeah.
is the light one. So can you try it again, please?
الله الصمد
As-sa, as-sa.
الصمد
Perfect. Yes. Continue, please.
لم يلد ولم يولد ولم
وَلَمْ
يكن
يُولَد. We
و-
stretch the waw
okay.
here.
ولم يولد
Mhm.
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Okay, mashallah, perfect recitation. Thank you. Okay, after this, Muhammad Khalil, did you read today? I think you haven't, you haven't, or you haven't. You think you'd be able to read? Would you please be able to answer in the chat? Okay, how about Sirajuddin? Siraj, will you be able to read now? yeah, before we like move to another short surah to read it, so who haven't read, you can, okay, let me try.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaykum assalam.
Yeah, I'm
Please go
Siraj.
ahead.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahu samad. Lam yalid
Again,
walam.
Allahu. If you remember the lesson last time, we talked about
Yeah,
lam and the
yeah.
word Allah. Nothing before it, so it's gonna be heavy. Allahu.
Allahu samad.
Mhm.
Lam yalid walam yulad. Walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad.
Barakallahu feek. Excellent reading. Okay, we can move to a new surah, which would be Surah Al-Falaq. So we can follow the same order. I can actually let you, Siraj, you can start first, and then I'll let the other read.
Okay. Bismillah
Please read.
ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falaq. Min sharri ma khalaq. ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب
وَمِن شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ
ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب
شَرِّ. So no tanween here. شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ.
شر غاسق إذا وقب.
Mhm.
Am I correct, sir?
Yes, that was perfect.
Yeah. ومن شر نفاسات في العقد.
Okay, there's another ghunna here you have to avoid. النفاثات في العقد.
ومن شر النفاسات في العقد.
Mhm.
ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ.
ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
MashaAllah, barakallahu feek. Excellent reading. Jazakallah
Thank
khair.
you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, who is next? So Qudsa, would you be able to read?
Yeah, I can.
Qudsa?
Yeah, I can.
Yes, please.
Okay. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر
That here, al-uqad.
العقد.
You know, the qalqala is vibrating the dal sound. So al-uqad. Try it, please.
العقد
Excellent.
ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Excellent. MashaAllah. Barakallah feek. Okay, Muhammad Khalid, have you read Surah Al-Falaq?
Can you hear me, sir? Assalamu
Yes,
alaikum.
please. Wa alaykum assalam.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
MashaAllah, ahsan. Barakallahu feek. Okay, after this we have Munir. Munir, would you be able to read Surah Al-Falaq now?
السلام عليكم.
Wa alaykum assalam.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق.
Can you try again? Al-Falaq.
الفلق.
You know, Qaf, one of the heavy letters, right? It's in the group of
Yes.
7 heavy letters. So we have to
Yeah.
make the Qa heavy. Al-Falaq.
قل أعوذ برب الفلق من
So
شر ما
what you are
خلق.
saying is a little bit of a Ka, Falak, you know? We have to avoid this and make it sound more heavy. We fill our
Yes.
mouth with some air while we are making the sound of Qaf and the qalqala of Qaf. So can you please try again? الفلق.
الفلق
Mhm.
الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Excellent. Who else can read?
Sir, I will
Okay.
read,
Alaikum salam.
Sir Shiraz.
Yes, please.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد.
Excellent. Barakallah feek. Okay, who else can read? I think all of you did read. Is that correct? Somebody did not read. You can go ahead and start now. So all of you, I think, did read. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I think all right.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Okay, that's perfect. So then that's actually what we're gonna stop at here today. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, of course.